Welcome back to the Lazy A-Hole Ranch, everyone. My name is Allie, and we are building an arch cabin here in Colorado.
I wonder if I just lay the ladder up across the ridge beam.
Okay. So cold lately. We still have snow on the ground and it's almost 70 degrees out, so that gives you an idea of how chilly it's been here. So we haven't been able to get out here and get this done until today. Both of us being kind of down for the count and sick, it's been a tough go, but we're making the best of it because that's all you can do. These squares from Fireball Tool have been amazing. I will leave a link to them below. Jason is another YouTuber who is innovative and creative. He does amazing videos on welding and fabrication. If you go to lazyaholeranch.com, you can see a selection of my handmade soap, as well as our blog, which goes over the cost of building an arch cabin. And this week, for sure, I'm going to be talking about the costs associated with the steel that we're welding into the front and back of the arch cabin. I also have a side channel called the Lazy A-Hole Recliner Show, which will probably have a lot more action over the winter time. Go ahead over there and give us a follow. I'll leave the link above and below. I think it might be time for a new back pad.
We still needed to figure out how to get the welder up high enough to weld the top parts of the upper supports. But first, Mike needed to get the bottom welded into position.
What about taking one of these boards over here, putting it between the rungs, and then strapping it? Or putting it between the rungs of this ladder over here.
Won't be tall enough.
Won't be tall enough? Okay.
No, because that just reached from there to there.
Okay.
I think that one may be a little longer. I might have to haul it up on a strap or something.
Backhoe bucket? Would that get tall enough?
Maybe.
I'm on my way to get the backhoe so that we can try and raise up the welder to a height that we can reach that center beam. Welcome to the backhoe. All right, we're gonna take this backhoe down to Mike and help him out. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. The other side's gonna be trickier because of the trench for the power and all that. Two important factors in getting a good weld are good, clean materials and a really good ground. The metal has been cleaned extensively as he started welding, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna do a little more of that before we go. The other key to getting a good weld is good penetration. We are using this MIG welder with flux core wire because the other welder we have that runs stick has a bunch of microchips on it, and those don't do well with generator power because generator power is considered dirty power. That could really mess with those microprocessors on that welder. The welder we're using now is a transformer welder and does much better under those kinds of loads.
And I just wanted to let you guys know that you're going to start seeing a series of ads for local small businesses. We are not being compensated at all for any of these ads. I merely just wanted to show my support within my community. So if you wouldn't mind checking out their websites or patronizing them when you roll through Colorado, that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Let's talk a little bit about this square tube that we bought. This is 3-inch square tube, and this is 2-inch square tube. Due to supply chain issues, we had to get 2 different thicknesses of square tube for our 3-inch square tube. One stick of 3-inch square tube was 14 gauge, while the other was 11 gauge. The 11 gauge was $9.23 per linear foot, whereas the 14 gauge was $7.24 per linear foot. This supply chain stuff is really putting a damper on the house build and our budget. So honey, when we're done tonight, do you want to go out and get dinner and a movie?
Sure.
Okay.
It is date night and Mike and I are going out to dinner and a movie. Get swept up in a wave of nostalgia at the Gold Hill Theaters, located in the Gold Hill Square at 615 Midland Avenue, which is at the corner of US 24 and State Highway 67 in Woodland Park, Colorado. Here you will get the small-town, nostalgic theater experience, but don't let appearances be deceiving. While it may remind you of simpler times on the outside, you have the luxury of modern seating, modern sound, and modern visual equipment, giving you the best theater experience in Colorado Springs and beyond. People travel from all over to experience special screenings, birthday parties, charity events, and the small town vibe of Woodland Park. They have larger, more full-size theaters, as well as smaller, more intimate settings to meet the needs of your private gathering. So head on over to Gold Hill Theaters and enjoy your night out. You can even rent the whole theater out, so you can have a special romantic date night with your sweetie.
So once again, Mike is measuring the angle.
So now we're moving on to the back side of the arch cabin. Just as a reminder, we are measuring and cutting that angle for the 3-inch square tube. And then Mike is measuring out and marking all the spots for the notch on the 3-inch square tube. That notch will ensure that the 3-inch square tube ends up flush with the ribs on the end of the arch cabin. Next, Mike cuts out the notch using an angle grinder and cutoff wheel, and I got some better shots to better illustrate what that notch actually looks like. And here's that notch again, drawn out a little more clearly so you can see it. And once we got that notch all cut out, it was time to put the beam up and tack it into place. Not only are the days growing colder, they're growing much shorter as well. Our goal is to get dried in before winter really sets in, but we're both really anxious that we're not going to make that deadline. All we can do at this point is push ourselves as much as we can and hope for the best with the weather. It has been a couple of weeks. Sorry guys. We've been sick, obviously. We'll have an inspection next week once we get this done today. Next after this will be end caps. And for that last upright beam, all we had to do was cut it to size and then weld on some rabbit ears to kind of hold it in place against that ridge beam. We also still needed to figure out how we were going to get the welder all the way up there. One more set of welds and a coat of paint and we're done. Now is the tricky part though, when we have to figure out how we're going to get that welder up there. Mike's got something in mind. I'm not sure what it is though. In the end, it took a couple of ratchet straps and a tow strap hooked up to the Cherokee to haul this thing up to the ridge beam. I was pretty skeptical about how this whole thing was going to stay up there without crashing to the ground, but we did it. Mike welded it all up, and that was all that was said and done, except for a coat of primer. That's it for us this week. We get an inspection done probably Tuesday, and then we move on to end caps. Thank you so much for watching. I love each and every one of you guys. I love you. Have a great rest of your week.